you little... I touch you! Go!
Stop! He's already dead.
Again, that'll never not be funny to me. Guys, welcome back to the ATR podcast. It was a very rough night for at least, well, I think it was kind of rough for all three of us to watch that entire game. So, again, welcome back again. I am Mark Williams, your host, and I am joined by the one and only Mr. John Volkowski.
Welcome to New York, Gerard Gallant.
And, of course, the man who will talk about the game that shall not be named, Mr. Anthony Larocco.
Been an Islander fan a very, very long time, and that last night's game that goes up there at the top of the list of one of the top 3 games I've ever watched. So,
I mean, talk about such a juxtaposition from Saturday night, because Saturday night, and Game 3, they took control. The Tampa Bay took control of the series. Game 4, they come out 3-0. Everything looks like it's the Islanders' way. I'm saying the game is over at the end of the second period. Then Braden Point scores, Tyler Johnson scores, and then Ryan McDonough has that spinorama that Ryan Pullock absolutely just darts out of nowhere to save. And then last night, the only thing to say about it is, Anthony, 1-0, 8-0, it doesn't matter. It's the same thing. So, you guys don't have to worry about that. Oh, we already got one of the comments. Didn't seem too rough for me.
Oh,
Thanks.
But you know what? That's the thing. They're going back to the Coliseum. They got a chance to bring it back to Tampa. And Anthony, I'm just gonna let you start and sound off your thoughts on it.
Well, before I talk about last night, you got to talk with the good and the bad, and we haven't had a show since their Game 4 win at the Coliseum, and that game was a good game for the Islanders. That first period, they kind of, I thought it was evenly matched. The second period, the Islanders were all over Tampa Bay like white on rice. The building was absolutely nuts. They rattled Tampa Bay there in the second. And then Tampa Bay came back and made a strong push in the third. Kudos to them. They're a really good team. You know they weren't just going to lie down and roll over for the last 20 minutes. But after they scored that second goal that made it 3-2, Trotz called the timeout. He settled it down, and I would say in that last 5 minutes, obviously until the whole Pullock play, the Islanders limited Tampa Bay, and they didn't really give them any chances to get that tying third goal. But in that Pullock play, I know we'll talk about that later in bar talk. But that was unbelievable. I really honestly couldn't even believe it. And from where I was sitting, I didn't see him behind Varlarmov, so my heart sunk because all I saw was Varlarmov come out like an idiot, which I still think he really almost screwed the pooch there on that play. And then I just see McDonough let go of the puck. And I thought, I'm like, here we go, we just blew it. And then I just hear cheers, and I was like, oh, and I looked up at the Jumbotron, and I saw what Pullock did, and it was just, it's just unbelievable. But, after that game, you're feeling good, it's following the same script as the past 2 series. Islanders, have a chance to take Game 5 and go up 3-2, and, unfortunately last night, they got waxed, fellas. They got completely waxed, and you know what it is? The Islanders are a mentally strong team. They really don't wilt. And I thought after that the Stamkos goal where he got the luckiest bounce ever, like Colin shoots the puck and it hits like a conglomerate of skates and just goes to Stamkos. But I thought after that the Islanders just were uncharacteristically careless with the puck. Their defensemen made bad pinches. I don't know if it was they felt the pressure of letting up the first goal and how that's gone in the series so far, and they wanted to get it back quick, and I don't know, but they just was all downhill from there, and it didn't help that the next 2 goals Tampa got were just bounces, I think, further deflated the Islanders. Like Yanni Gourde's second goal, Andy Green dives, and the puck goes off Green's stick and in between Varlarmov's legs. I mean, again, it's a bounce that Tampa forgot. And then that third goal, Savard just throws the puck from the blue line. It goes up in the air and just, like, hits someone's shoulder, hits Varlarmov. I don't know what happened, and just lands in the net. I mean, that's the type of puck luck that, you know, kudos Tampa Bay. They earned it because they were playing better, but they literally got all that puck luck there. And the second period, I don't know if you guys noticed, but the Islanders actually came out hard. I don't know that sequence. I don't know how that puck didn't go in the net. Like, two posts, Nelson has like a wide open net and he misses. It just, when that happened, I'm like, all right, well, the hockey gods are clearly not behind the Islanders tonight. And after that small push, I think they were just taxed mentally after that. And Stamkos got that fourth power play goal and that typical Stamkos bomb. Poor Sorokin coming in that type of mop-up role, but that was the goal that really... Because at 3-0, you know, we see teams blow 3 leads somewhat regularly in the playoffs. So I'm still hopeful if they got the next one. But after that fourth goal, I'm like, this game's over. And like the Simpsons clip you played, yeah, it really was like that after one point. It's like, this is just bad. So you know what? It was awful. But like Trotz says, burn the tape, park it, on to the next one. And Marc, you mentioned, you know, losing on double overtime, 1 goal or 8-0. It's all the same, which actually the NBC broadcasters kind of brought up last night too. It's at that point, doesn't matter. A loss is a loss. Move on. And the positive thing now is they're going back to the Coliseum, which obviously really, really helps them. You know, could potentially be the last game at the Coliseum. I think the Islanders are going to come out really hard. I think they're embarrassed. I think they're gonna play like their lives depend on it, and it does. So we'll see what happens in this Game 6. But yeah, last night was just an anomaly. That's not Islander hockey, and I'm confident that next game we're going to see a close game like all the other games have been. So, but yeah, all you could say is shake it off, and move on.
John, give me your thoughts on the last 2 games. We got a couple good comments and another topic we have to go over right in a second.
Well, I mean, the Game 4, Tampa was they were disjointed. The Islanders were all over them. The Islanders played a good game. It was kind of like role reversal, these 2 games. It's funny. Just like the exact opposite images of one another. Tampa played like garbage for, I would say, from like maybe the 10-minute on mark of the first period until about the 10-minute mark of the third period. Right? And then, you know, that 20-minute span, I thought Tampa was the better team in that game. I thought the Islanders were the better team for the 40 minutes in between. You know, obviously they came close. Pullock, I mean, you want to call it the save of the century, you might as well. Ruth's Chris should have Varlarmov buying Pullock a steak dinner in there, because he owes him one after that one. That's for damn sure. I mean, that was incredible. And he didn't cover his hand in the puck. Really smart play. Anthony, you mentioned that in the chat. I went back and watched the replay because I wanted to see if he did or not, because that's such a hard play to make in the moment. It really is.
Sort of like the McDonough play in the 2012 Winter Classic that he accidentally...
say that too. Oh my God, I'm just going to say that. Yeah, I mean, you can't close your hand on the puck in the crease, otherwise it's a penalty shot, and, you know, maybe there is an overtime in that game. Maybe we are looking at the Islanders out right now. But obviously, the next game, Islanders just did not have it. I don't know what happened. I'll spin it in a glass half full way if you're an Islander fan. You're not gonna get Trotz like that again. You're not. Barrett Trotz is not gonna let his team have efforts like that. I know I said after Game 2 I didn't think that either team would play a game as bad or worse for the rest of the series. I know it was wrong there. I would put my life's savings on the fact that the Islanders are not going to play another game like that for the rest of the series. If they beat Tampa, I don't think you're going to see another game like that for the rest of the playoffs.
Is that $48?
Yeah, for all 48. Actually, $48,006. But yeah, 8-0 to me is easier to shake off than 2-1 triple overtime or 5 overtime or something like that. You're just taxed after a loss like that because like they said last night on the telecast, you left it all out there and you still came up short. And I mean, in this case, burn the tape. Just burn the tape. Don't even look at it. Just know the mistakes you made. Go on to the next game. I think Tampa Bay might have smacked the bee's nest, if you will, and shaken it up a little bit because the Islanders are going to come out really, really hard in Game 6. Now Tampa's really, their objective is going to have to be to weather the storm for at least that first period. Because if the Islanders don't give you 20 minutes of balls to the wall hockey right off the bat and really put Tampa on their heels, that could spell the end of the Islanders. So I honestly, I see the Islanders tying it up, going back to Tampa for Game 7, and as you know, anything can happen in Game 7. So I'd be shocked if the Islanders lost that game. I'd also be shocked if they played anywhere near the way that they did last night. But that's not going to happen again. Tampa, you know you're not scoring 8 goals again. That's just not going to happen. Barry Trotz isn't going to let that happen. He's going to configure with everything he can, and he's going to make sure that his team is up, ready to go, whether it's smelling salt to the face before the game, right before the opening face-off. I don't know what he'd do, but I'm going to tell you right now, that team is going to be – they're gonna look like they're on speed from the opening face-off, and Tampa is going to have to weather that storm. So I liked what I saw from Tampa. Mel Carton Boy got on the board twice. And if you don't know, boy, that's Steven Stamkos, who had been invisible for most of the playoffs and all this series before last night. So, yeah, he got on the board. I mean, David Savard getting one was really weird. That was just an incredible bounce. I mean, puck luck, I'd be lucky. But, I mean, at the same time, you've got to be good and you've got to be working your ass off to get those lucky bounces. It did. Just as the Islanders did with some of their goals in the previous games. You know, you get those bounces when you skate hard and you play hard and you make things happen. So, I mean, kudos to Tampa for that. I mean, I feel bad for Varlarmov because there's nothing he could have done on either of those 3 goals. He was a sacrificial lamb, and they brought in Sorokin, and then he became an even bigger sacrificial lamb because Tampa actually started scoring legitimate goals on him. And just absolutely took them to the woodshed. Yeah, Luke Shen just how?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean.
All right. Well, we do have an elephant in the room we got to discuss.
Yes.
And that's this play, where Mat Barzal got a 5-minute major in a game misconduct. Now, gut reaction. I'll start with you guys. And again, there was a long pause that I had right there. And as you can see with some of the comments, first we'll go with probably without Barzal for Game 6 from my buddy John DiMartino, or probably going to get a $5,000 fine because we have no idea what George Parros is going to do right here. I think we could all agree on that because he got the major, he got the game misconduct. Normally they would give him a suspension, but I mean, Barzal doesn't have exactly many suspensions, if any at all, on his record.
No.
So
It doesn't.
you're going to just suspend him for an elimination game on a play that the guy was okay? But then again, the stick came up. He cross-checked it in the face.
Stop you both here. I'm going to stop you both here. You can't suspend him for that next game if you didn't suspend Tom Wilson for what he did. It's a double standard.
Again, right there.
You can't. You just can't do it. I'm sorry. Normally, if you call things the right way and you crack down on these types of things in the way that you should crack down on them, then yes, Barzal deserves a suspension. But the NHL doesn't know its head from its ass when it comes to suspending players. George Parros, obviously, Sapati, or whatever the hell you referred to it as. I mean, I just want to make that pronunciation right there.
Sapati.
Okay, Sapati. So yeah, I don't think you can give Barzal a suspension for Game 6. If they had a clue of what they were doing, sure, but I don't think that was egregious enough for it. He should absolutely be fined. I'm not even sure if the stick actually made contact with the head. You really can't see. I looked over it so many times just to try to see what was going on with that. I don't see it. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't, but it's still a shot to the head. They still got to crack down on those types of things. But if you don't suspend Tom Wilson for trying to crack someone's head open into the ice, then you can't suspend him for that.
Or the rabbit punches. That too. Anthony, jump on in.
Well, my thoughts on it are, one, it was a stupid play by Barzal. There was no need for it. I would have loved to know what Ruda said to him that made him do that, because they weren't physically engaged prior to that. They were both skating to the bench. You saw Ruda turn and say something to him, and Barzal reacted. So I don't know what he said, but whatever he said, he didn't like it. And at that point in the game, it's not about him doing something stupid and costing your team. They were going to lose anyway. It's just the premise of why even put yourselves in a situation where you can even question whether or not you'll be in the lineup for a pivotal Game 6. So it was dumb. He did deserve to get the penalty. With that said, it ends there. He got the 5-minute major. Fine him too, but that's enough punishment. Like John said, the contact to the head, it was kind of like, and then also with John reference, Ruda also sold a little bit. I mean, the guy laid face down on the ice, and for the first 10 seconds, he wasn't even moving. And then when he got up and walked off the ice, he looked like he was fine. So he definitely sold that a little bit. But again, Barzal shouldn't have done it in the first place. But it's not suspension. Yes, I agree with Alex. I think Ruda did embellish it for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, Barzal shouldn't have done it though. So, but not suspension worthy. It's really not suspension worthy. If you look back on it in the Bruins series, DeBrusque got fined $5,000 for cross-checking Mayfield in the head, and I thought that was much worse. And he didn't even get a penalty at all, and he got fined. All he got was fined $5K.
Yeah.
So I don't see how, for a guy with Barzal who has no supplemental history, I don't know how you could suspend him. So.
Well, I'm going to go back, and again, we're talking about players with lack of history. And the Marc Scheifele incident, I know I'm bringing it up, and I know you guys are going to roll your eyes, but you talk about a guy that's got little to no record, and he got 4 playoff games, which is essentially 8 games in the regular season. And it's a very... let me change gears on it. Because, again, we don't know what the suspensions are with Paros. And by the way, I'm pretty sure if he found out you don't pronounce if they told him the E was silent, he'd be like, softy? No. Do you know what the word safety means? Because if you crack down on one, you got to crack down on them all. John, you're making me envious with that Red Bull right now. I mean, it's...
The difference...
Sorry, I was going to say, I know what you're going to say about Scheifele, and that it was a hit to the head and a prone player.
Well... Yeah, I mean, it was predatory, and Evans never saw something. At least Barzal and Ruda were face to face. They were having an altercation. Like Barzal didn't, hit a defenseless player. So that looms large too.
Well, the question I was going to have for you guys is this a case of Barzal just being the Islanders' penalty minutes leader again? Is he going to learn? He can't do this in these situations.
I'd only imagine the reaming that he got from Trotz after that. I know, like Anthony said, I know that they were losing. It's not like he cost them the game or anything, but Barry Trotz is a stickler for plays like that. Like when you make a dumb play like that, he will ream you out for it, and he's been hard on Barzal in the past. So I can only imagine the reaming that he got for that play. I can't imagine Trotz not screaming his damn head off in the locker room afterward.
All right, so... Anthony, I'm going to start with you on this. What's disappointing you so far?
Well, it's after Game 4. I was pretty happy with how the series has gone so far. 2-2 against the defending Stanley Cup champions, and you're in the series. I would just say for me, what's disappointing me is just how the Islanders didn't look. I don't know if you want whatever you call it, prepared, motivated. They looked. They looked at all out of sorts, and for me, they had a glorious chance to go up 3-2. And let's face it, if they went up 3-2 I think we're all in belief that the Islanders will probably win tomorrow. So, if they went up 3-2, you're talking a chance to move on to the Stanley Cup Finals at home. Like, they blew a glorious opportunity, and it's disappointing to me that they didn't put a better effort out. I guess you could say we don't know what the effort would have been, because like it's Tampa, they scored right away, so maybe that took the wind out of their sails, and then after that they really folded. But even so, that type of performance happen. You got to be in the game, and you got to be resilient and stick to your game plan. And they didn't do any of that. So that disappointed me a lot. It took the fun out of watching the game. Go excited to watch a pivotal game 5, and Tampa Bay scores 1. It's like, okay, it's 1 goal, but then 2, and then 3, and then you're like, this, you're sitting there, this sucks. So they just overall they disappointed me with their effort last night.
John,
I have 2 players. I don't know if you want me to save them for the Who Needs to Step Up segment, or...
You could save the players for the Who Needs to Step Up, because you're the one that I give both teams to.
What's disappointing me so far is it's not really anything like an X's and O's type thing, but the amount of vitriol. I thought this was going to be a little more bitter of a series than it's been so far. I mean, last night there's obviously some anger and some pent up aggression from the Islanders because they were getting absolutely killed. But I mean, I thought this would be a little more. There'd be a little more hatred between these two teams, especially from last year, considering that the teams are pretty much the same team at the core. The majority of the teams, really, Tampa hasn't changed a bit. I don't think they changed a player off of their roster from last year. And, the Islanders, obviously, they added Zajac and Palmieri, but, I mean, at the core, the Islanders are pretty much the same team aside from those two. So, I just thought that this would be a little more of a, I don't want to say violent, but a little more of an aggressive, hatred-filled series. Not that it hasn't been good, the level would be higher,
I think you're going to see that tomorrow. I think these two teams are going to really go at each other.
I think it's going to hit a fever tomorrow. I agree, too.
Answering Christopher's comment right here, what was worse, Game 1 last year or Game 5 last night? The answer is Game 5 last night. You have a chance to go 3-2 in the Stanley Cup Finals.
You blew a golden
Not only that, but Game 1 last year, like I said, they had to fly from Toronto to Edmonton, have 1 day rest, and Trotz even said he kind of expected that game to go the way it did afterwards, being how they just come off the 7-game series and then had to fly against a well-rested Tampa Bay team. This time around, they're both on the same playing field in terms of rest, even series, and the Islanders laid an egg. So, by far, Christopher, for me, Game 5 last night.
Which, for me, the disappointing thing and the surprising thing are going to be the same thing for me, which is the last 4 periods. Wow. I looked at Saturday night, turned around to the people at the bar, and just went, this game's over. You don't even have to worry about it. As soon as they went up 2-0, thinking this game is over. Then Tampa just came in, point scores. Tyler Johnson scores. Talking about milk carton people. And then McDonough, again, I'm looking at it again, going 15 seconds remaining. There's no chance. It just got cleared to center. Next thing I know, I look up and McDonough's wide open with a chance to score. I have no idea what Varlarmov was doing as well. And then Pullock makes the play and, tied 2-2. You come out and in the last 4 periods, they've been outscored 10-0. Now, granted, like we said, the third period last night, you can throw that away. So 8-0 then. So it's just, for a team that plays with so much character, so much structure, that they leave it all on the ice. Like it was disappointing last night. It was sort of like the way that I've described it. It's like when you see somebody you want to get the shit kicked out of them, and then you're watching them getting beaten up so badly, you're going, yeah. Okay. Can you guys stop? Stop. I don't think he's. I think you're beating a corpse. So, Anthony, what surprised you?
Well, what was surprising me was, and it's changed a little bit after last night, but going into last night, the Islanders had done a phenomenal job shutting down really anybody but Tampa's top line. I kind of went through the box scores and for the previous games. Colin had 1 assist, Stamkos had 1 assist, Cirelli had 0 points. That second line was invisible, and the Islanders had essentially neutralized them. Hell, not even aside from points line, the only 2 other forwards to score a goal were Tyler Johnson and Yanni Gourde going into last night. So the Islanders were doing a like I said, a great job holding the Lightning team in check aside from points line. And obviously last night they broke that door open with Stamkos getting 2 goals and Colin had 2 goals off deflections and whatnot. But that was surprising me that the Islanders really were doing, I thought, a phenomenal job. So, but again, last night's game, an anomaly. Go back to the way they're playing, the way they've been playing, and I think they continue to do that. So, but that was what was surprising.
John, what surprised you?
The amount of odd man rushes that were surrendered in this series so far. Both teams have really surrendered a lot of odd man chances against. Our old guest host from Off the Post, Anthony Joe Souza, actually had noted one point early, I think maybe around halfway through the first period, that the Islanders had surrendered, I think, 8 odd man rushes at that point, which is just incredible for a Barry Trotz team. You don't see that. Uncharacteristically bad from them. Both teams have surrendered a lot of odd man rush chances in this series so far. I didn't expect to see the amount that I have, especially last night. But yeah, for 2 teams as good in transition as these 2 teams are, it's a really high number in this series. If you went and looked over the total number of chances surrendered.
I was just muting my mic for a minute because I had some background noise. But by the way, it's funny because my roommates are saying the exact same thing right now. 8-0 or 1-0 was there. And so going back to what we usually say, who needs to step up for Game 6?
I'll take it here. I know I might be stealing Anthony's answer, but from Tampa, Stamkos has got to step up. He's got to be a difference maker in these next 2 games. I know he got off the schneid, but again, Anthony noted that they shut down that second line for most of the series, and he was right. That line was invisible. I mean, Cirelli hadn't even had a point before last night. So kudos to the Islanders for being able to get that line off the score, or keep that line off the score sheet. But Steven Stamkos has got to be a difference maker. Braden Point cannot just keep carrying everybody like he has, because he's been absolutely phenomenal. He's a Conn Smythe winner if Tampa Bay wins the Cup. Absolutely, there's no doubt about it. For the Islanders, Brock Nelson needs to be better. He absolutely needs to be better. He's been relied upon since Barry Trotz has come here as more of a two-way center. Again, I was wrong about him. He's turned the corner, and he's become a reliable two-way player. Maybe not a Selke caliber defender, but a much better than average defender who doesn't take nights off anymore, doesn't take shifts off anymore. He's hard to play against, and he scores some goals. So Brock Nelson, he wasn't good last night. He really hasn't been good in this series. He's got to be better. He's just got to be far better than what he's been.
Just before I throw it back to Anthony, I'm going to just address that comment again down below. And another, pick-me-up to some Islander fans out there. Team that scored first is 5-0. There you go. Doesn't matter if he's got 1 goal or 8. It's all that matters.
Get the first goal.
Yeah. So, Anthony, throwing it to you. Who's got to step up?
I'm gonna, after last night, I'm gonna honestly go with their whole defensive core. After a performance like last night, they gotta shut down any confidence that Tampa Bay has to have. They need to come out. They need to give them nothing. Hold Tampa Bay scoreless as long as you can. I mean, if they can go till the beginning of the third again without giving up a goal, that'd be great. But they need to give them nothing. They need to suffocate Tampa Bay. And like I said, take away any belief that they close out the Coliseum tomorrow night. They got to play like stalwarts. Help Pullock have to go back to their normal selves. I'm not putting any blame on them because again the whole team was trash. I'm going to use a line from Tortorella. I don't know if you guys remember it. I don't know which Ranger game it was, but it just sticks in my head. I know if Goldberg's still watching, it's one of his favorite Tortorella comments after a game. But he came to the podium and he said, he's like, we sucked from head to toe. That's all he said. And you know what? That was the case with the Islanders. Their whole team last night. Everybody in the lineup. So maybe the exception of Varlarmov, the goalies, because I mean they were left out with really no help. But all their roster position players were bad, and their defense needs to step up and be much better tomorrow night.
Since I usually take the Tampa guys, the guy that I'm going to say needs to step up, probably Anthony Cirelli. Haven't heard much of him, or Victor Hedman. But then again, one's dealing with an injury, one of them is dealing with I don't even know. But Yanni Gorin stepped up last night, so ever since they moved him up with Stamkos, they've been playing a lot better. So there you go with that. We got one more comment right here. Before I ask you, yep, sucked from head to toe, Goldberg. I'm trying to remember which Tortorella game that was. But
can we just get a segment of Tortorella just wanting to fight Larry Brooks?
Oh yeah. Well, a funny story about that in a minute. I'll tell that after the sign off. But so guys, what is going to be the headline after Game 6? Anthony, go with your Islanders. What is the headline?
Well, I'm gonna say, Islanders rebound after Trotz lost forced Game 7 in Tampa Bay, where it's anybody's series. I'm reminded of 2015, a similar situation actually against Washington. They lost a really bad game, 5-1 against the Capitals in DC in Game 5. They came back to the Coliseum again. The same script, could be the last game ever. Cal Clutterbuck sealed it with an empty net goal, and the Islanders forced a Game 7. I think it's going to be a similar outcome tomorrow. Like I said, I think the Islanders are embarrassed, rightfully so. I think they're going to come out really hard. I think they're going to try to play the way they did against Tampa Bay in the second period for longer stretches of the game. And I think, the Coliseum crowd is huge. It carries them, and I think they're going to feed off that. And again, you got to score the first goal. Every team's won every game. Tampa Bay is 0-4 now when they allow the first goal in the playoffs. So I just need to get that first look back. But I'm going to say this series goes back to Tampa Bay for Game 7. At that point, honestly, I don't know what's going to happen. They could very well lose, but you at least got to get there. So, but I say Islanders take care of business tomorrow at the Coliseum.
Filk?
Not necessarily a headline. I'm actually going to go a little off the wall here, but I'm going to use what's probably the most misinterpreted song of all time, because a lot of people don't realize what the song is actually really about. And I'm going to use Pearl Jam's Alive here. I'm still alive. Hey. Yeah. I think the Islanders are going to force Game 7. I can't see them playing bad enough again to not force Game 7. So, Pearl Jam, Alive. You know what, Goldberg? You know what? Now I'm getting more for you. Even flow.
I was going to join in, but I've been yelling too much the last few days.
Yeah, if he really wants, I'll start ruining Alice in Chains songs for him.
Well, I mean, don't ruin Alice in Chains for me.
I'll ruin all Alice in Chains songs for him.
Although, did you ever get to watch the clip of the edited version of last week when you were singing? Because I did put Simon Cowell in there for you.
Yeah, they used something.
Well, yeah, leave the Eddie Vedder. But
yeah. I'm going hungry. Oh, that's a good comment. That is a very good comment. Welcome back, Sean.
My headline is going to be, I'm going to borrow actually a different song from the 90s. It's going to be Lightning Crashes, Islanders force Game 7. I have Tampa in 7 in this series, and I've said before, I'll say it again, I don't see any way they get eliminated at the Coliseum. But it's going to take a Herculean effort in order to do that. But so obviously we want to know what you think. We've been putting these comments up all the time, and good job with the comments so far, guys.
Yes.
Yeah, keep on commenting, keep on liking. We just had our first video go over 1,000 views. We are expanding. We're doing that because of you. And and yeah, hell, we did just a Q&A for an hour afterwards. It's not going to go on too long today, unfortunately, because I have a commitment around 4 o'clock.
But we definitely
And no, Chris, it's not that much pressure. You could definitely just leave a comment. By the way, if you also noticed the little Periscope icon, we're also being broadcasted on Periscope today, and soon to be hopefully iTunes and Spotify. But did you like that video? Of course you did. So why not check out some more of our content? You can check the playlist right here or right here.
Your ideas are intriguing to me, and I wish to subscribe to your newsletter.